Let's stick with that political theme, and Keir Starmer will become the next Prime Minister of the UK after Labour won the UK general election in a landslide last week. Labour will hold power from the Conservatives for the first time in 14 years. Melina Morrison, CEO of the BCCM, joins me now to discuss. Hi there, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. So, boy, the British people have spoken and they yelled that they want to change.
They've spoken loud and clear, most definitely.
Okay, and so what should we here in Australia make of the outcome? Was it just time for a change, or, was there something specific about Keir Starmer's approach that resonated?
Look, I think for a lot of people, they feel that the economy doesn't work in their interests. And so they're looking for governments that are going to make sure that competition and consumer choice is an actual real thing that they encounter. We need governments to be thinking about cost of living pressures. And a lot of that comes down to the dynamic and productivity that we have in our economy in the first place. And that's what's been so interesting about the commitment of this new government to double the size of the cooperative and mutual economy in the UK.
Can you just flesh that out a little bit for us if we're not familiar with the cooperative and mutual, sector there?
Well, absolutely. I mean, these businesses, they're the member owned businesses. So they have members, not shareholders. They're all around us in all of our economies. There are more than 2,000 of these businesses in Australia. Everything from your credit union or your mutual bank to your non-profit health mutual to agricultural cooperatives that are exporting our produce offshore to the roadside assistance mutuals that we've relied on for so long. They're all around us. And just like that, in the UK, they're also up and down the high street. In fact, many of them actually have their name on the door. So you might have visited the UK and seen that the cooperative supermarket is almost on every high street. So these are the businesses that the UK Labor government has committed to growing and incentivising to double in the size of its contribution to the UK economy.
Oh, that's really interesting. Okay. And so, why did it need this protection? Why does it need government support?
Well, for so long, cooperatives and mutuals in lots of different places, lots of different jurisdictions, but particularly Western liberal democracies like Australia and the UK, they've been neglected. They've been unrecognised for the good, solid work, the sustainability of their businesses through particularly through crisis for too long. And that's meant that their neglect has led to an operating business environment which is suboptimal for their growth. What Keir Starmer and his government is saying is that if we put a little bit of focus on these businesses, that they'll do what they do best, and that's to grow and innovate in the interests of the people that they serve. Their customers are also their owners. So there's a raft of measures that are being talked about. And very importantly, there'll be a minister responsible for cooperatives and mutuals. And that's something that we need here in Australia as well.
Okay. And so, what is the state of play for the cooperatives and mutual sector in Australia?
Well, we also have some of the barriers that the UK Labor government has seen in the run up to the election that need alleviating. One of those is accessing capital. We do actually have the ways now to raise growth capital, loss absorbing equity without demutualising, which is fantastic. And we've followed the UK's example there. But we need to educate private capital to invest in our businesses so that we can grow, to innovate for our members. There are more than 34 million memberships of cooperatives and mutuals in Australia. 8 in 10 Australians have a membership with at least one cooperative or mutual. So these are really vital businesses to everyday business activities that we engage in, whether it's our insurance or our banking or fixing our cars. We really need cooperatives and mutuals to have the investment to grow just like any other business.
And can cooperatives and mutuals grow by acquisitions themselves, Melina?
Yes, absolutely. And that's one very exciting thing we're seeing in the UK. One of the largest banks on the high street is called Nationwide. It's a building society. It's actually the largest mortgage provider in the United Kingdom. It is buying Virgin Money, which means it's buying from the private sector, and that's going to jettison its role in the UK economy to be the fifth largest bank. We need mutuals of these sizes in our economy so they can grow inorganically as well as organically by purchasing businesses, by merging, by acquiring other businesses. Another example is Coventry Building Society, which is in the process of buying back the cooperative bank from private equity. So we're showing that we can flex our mutual muscle and grow if we have access to capital. One other very important thing they've done in the UK recently, which we need to follow suit, is to protect the legacy assets of cooperatives to disincentivise demutualisation, which hollowed out much of our cooperative and mutual economy in Australia in the last few decades.
Okay, so if there is one thing that you hope we see replicated from the UK experience, what would it be here locally, Melina?
Definitely legislation to protect those legacy assets so that they don't get carpetbagged, inadvertently uh, sucking out even more competition from many of our markets in Australia. But also, we need this sort of policy commitment that the Prime Minister of the UK has given to double the size of the cooperative and mutual economy.